Hello, it is me, Militant Ginger, once again, out walking the dog, and I wanted to make a quick video because I've had some questions. I said, hey Ginger, you made a video called Your Book Sucks and Nobody Wants to Buy It. And then you made a video saying, you deserve to be able to make an income and support your family as a self-published author. So, which are they? Does your book suck, or do you have the right to make a living and support your family as a self-published author? Well, the answer is both, because the route towards becoming a self-published author is multifaceted. You don't just need to be a writer. You need to encompass multiple things in order to make this happen. In fact, to be a successful self-published author, you need to be four people. And let me explain who those people are. The first, you need to be an artist. And what do I mean by that? Well, I think I've spoken before about how writers and creative people, it's like they hear the sound of trumpets. They hear something that other people don't hear. It's almost like we are radios that pick up transmissions from wherever, and we have this gnawing, burning, like irrepressible desire to communicate them to other people. We're merely a conduit from which these stories flow. And I think that's the first thing that you have to be if you want to be a successful self-published author, because you have to have something that you want to share with the world. And I say artists because it's not just writers, it's musicians, it's painters, it's actors, it's sculptors, anybody. It can be anybody. You just have this desire to share your creative vision. My God, this dog is so strong. Your creative vision with the world. And not everybody is one of those people, but if you're a writer, you almost certainly are. Okay. The second thing you need to be is a storyteller. And storyteller is separate to writer, and it's separate to an artist. When you see an abstract painting by Jackson Pollock, that's not necessarily a story, but it's still something creative, something from somewhere else. But as a storyteller, you have a slightly different responsibility. What you need to do is take whatever that sound of trumpets is that you want to communicate with people, and you have to turn it into a narrative. And what I mean by that is a story has a formula. A story is a circle. It's a journey, but it's a circle. It starts with a hero in a place of dishonest order, and he has to go on a journey which he seeks what he wants, and then he gets defeated, and then he looks deep inside himself and realizes that what he thought he wanted wasn't what he needed. He goes on after this need now, and he makes a huge sacrifice to get it, and then he returns home a changed person. He ends where he begins, but he's changed. And I say he, but obviously the story can be a she or a they or a Toy Story. Are those things? I don't know. Anyway, that's the format a story takes. It's a circle. And so as a storyteller, you need to take this amazing vision that only you can see and turn it into a story. And that's the first thing. And storyteller encompasses not just writers, but also people who make screenplays or people who write theatre. And also, to be honest, there are artists and musicians. Like James McMurtry is one of my favourite musicians. He is just such a powerful storyteller through the medium of music. I was recently down in Arkansas. I was in northwest Arkansas, and I went to the Crystal Springs Museum of American Art, and some of the paintings there, like you look at the paintings and they tell a story too. So storyteller is separate to writer. But the thing is, that's different between an artist and a storyteller. An artist is somebody who hears the sound of the trumpets. That's just the way you're born. You are burdened with this glorious purpose of sharing the music that you hear with the world. Storytelling is where it becomes a craft, because stories always follow the same formula. So you can learn the art of storytelling, and most definitely learn it. So I think I just intuitively knew something about writing stories right from the very beginning, but or I learned it through reading and things like that. But when it comes to how I tell stories now, I actually use a template that has 9 different steps on it, and I'm going to be making a video about this later, and I plot out my story based on that. So I have an idea of the order of things, how they happened, and then I move that order around into a format that actually makes a circular, satisfying story with a beginning and a middle and an end and conflict and sacrifice and all that. Right. Third thing you need to be is, of course, a writer. You can't be a writer unless you're a writer. And what that means and why that's different from being a storyteller is, as a writer, you take this story that you've created and you are going to communicate it to people through the medium of writing, through the medium of written words. And again, that's a craft, and that's something you can learn. Communication is something that mankind developed simply to be able to explain to another caveman which rock he wanted bashed or whatever. And so you can learn to tell a story by mastering the craft. And there are many, many different types of writing and styles of writing and things like that. And what you have to do is find your tribe, find your audience, and then write in the style which communicates things effectively to them. So now we've got 3 vocations already, but what is the last one? And the last one is you have to be a businessman, a marketer, because once you've created this amazing book, you then have to be able to package it up into a format at which point you can sell it. And whether that's going to a publisher, if that's what you want to do, but as a self-published author, you have to learn to be a publisher, so you have to get your editing done, package it up with a cover and a blurb and all of the other materials and get it onto wherever you're selling. So for me, that's Amazon. You need to learn how to launch a book so people can actually see it. You need to learn how to advertise a book, promote a book. So yeah, there are 4 separate jobs you need to master to become a successful self-published author. And the nice thing is that first one, the artist, is something you can't really master. You can just accept about yourself. I made videos about how important it is to write every single day, because this is what you're called to do. As somebody who wants to be a successful self-published author, you are called to tell these stories through the written word, and that means you need to show up and do it. And that's all you need to do to master that first one. Every single day, right. The second one, to be a storyteller. That's something I'm going to be making videos going on about. But storytelling, as I said, it's not limited to being a writer, but it is one of the most important things that mankind has ever learned to do. Stories are almost like music in that they have a rhythm, they have a cadence, they have that flow and the familiarity of it. So when I write stories, I use the 9-point framework, which I'll talk about later, but you could use the Joseph Campbell, the Great Voyage thing, or you can use the Save the Cat formula. I don't know. Whatever method you use, they always follow that same circle. And I find it amazing because back in the days of cavemen sitting around a campfire, they would tell stories. And those stories would follow the same formula as the stories I'm writing now, the stories we tell in all sorts of different mediums. And it's crazy. So we're talking a lot about stories, and I'm going to be making a really exciting series of videos soon about how stories and storytelling is separate to writing. But writing, yeah, again, that's something that you have to master. And the most effective way to learn to become a good writer, right, 2 things. First of all, to be a good reader, you need to read a lot, because then you learn from other people how to craft language and things. But secondly, you just need to practice. I've written 24 full-length books, and if I take the book that I'm writing right now and I compare it to the book I wrote when I published my first book, that Adventure Ready book, they're very, very different. And I've grown so much more skilled and sophisticated since I did that. So that's what you need to do. That's again with the artistry thing. You just need to show up. If you show up and try and write every single day and you hack away at this mountain every single day, you will eventually become a master of what you're doing. You can't help it as long as you show up and put the time in. And finally, the marketer, the advertiser. That's the bit where a lot of self-published authors fall down flat. Once again, it's not a gift, it's not a talent, it's a process, it's something you need to learn. And a lot of writers, we're not sort of people who that doesn't necessarily appeal to us that much, or we find the idea of jumping into something like that very intimidating, so we just don't. But again, I'm definitely far from J.K. Rowling or Stephen King, but I've been successful at writing, so I know enough about it to be dangerous. And as I proceed with this series of videos, I'm going to outline everything I do, and you can follow along and see where it leads you. Anyway, that's what I wanted to do, tell you how your book sucks and nobody wants to read it, but at the same time you deserve to make a living as a self-published author. And I enjoy the thought of meeting with you again for another video in the future, and blah blah blah, and what does it, hit the like button, the subscribe button, I don't know. I'm done, I'm spent. I will chat to you later. Bye.